Hey everyone, so in this workshop we're going to go over how to create eye color changes and eyebrow changes in Lens Studio. I get asked this a lot by people online. How do you do eyebrow changes that look natural, and how do you change the eye color in a natural way? So I really wanted to create this workshop to basically show that, and it's actually something I use on a lot of lenses. I find being able to change the eye color is something that can add to a character look so well. So for example, doing something like 02, she has very light eyes. It's something like that really adds her character, especially for somebody like me with dark eyes, to be able to try it on. And for effects like my lens is called Bearded Cutie, which transforms you into this cute male with a beard and light green eyes. It just added to that character. So I always have fun changing the eye color, and same with Bearded Cutie with the eyebrows. The eyebrows can go a long way. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to create eyebrows and how to bring them into Lens Studio, how to make them look realistic, and also how to make realistic eye color changes. This stuff is really fun, and it just is another layer to add to your makeup looks or to add to your character looks. It's also great for clients. There are plenty of clients out there that are looking for eyebrow changes. When you're doing makeup, a lot of times the makeup can look kind of heavy, and if people are using makeup without any makeup underneath it, like augmented reality makeup, but wearing natural makeup, sometimes normally when we do makeup, we will darken our brows a little bit. So by adding like a little bit of a bolder brow, it could add to a makeup look. So a lot of times when I'm doing makeup, I incorporate a little bit of an eyebrow into it so that it just deepens the brows a little bit to go with a more strong makeup look. This is not necessary, but it's just something that goes, I felt like, a long way with my clients' makeup looks, just adding a little bit of a brow touch up to look a little bit more bold. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to create brows, but also how to enhance your brows using this, and also how you could change the eye color in a very natural way. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back, and today we're going to be going through how to change eye color and add eyebrows in Lens Studio. So right now I'm in Lens Studio with the default window, slightly modified. So to set it up your window to look like mine, all you have to do is go to Window, Panels, and then go to Default Layout. Now you should see everything look like this. I usually like to take this out and kind of put this in the middle over here, just kind of free floating. If it gets attached anywhere like this, you could again just pull it right back out by clicking on the top and just putting it there. And so now again, what we see here on the left is our objects panel, our resources, and our inspector. These are going to be the main areas that we're going to focus on in this workshop. So, and your scene here. So right here in your object, as you can see, we have a camera, we have some lighting. What we're gonna do first is we're going to add a face mesh. Or actually, first we're gonna do eye color because that's the easiest thing to start with. So we're gonna go and click this plus button, and we're gonna click eye color. And now, as simple as that, you could see that there's an eye color effect here. But what you're gonna notice is that it's a little bit unrealistic. It looks just like a block of color. So what we're gonna do is choose texture. And now they have preloaded a texture in there. You could actually modify this texture and make it your own. And in order to do that, well, first we want to just save our file. So we're going to save this as eye color and browse. Because once you save it, you could go and edit the textures. So we're going to take this and we're going to add our own texture in here. And I'm going to add my own texture. So I will be right back. Okay, so I have an iris texture here. You guys should have this texture as well in my links to all of my additional files for this tutorial. And so now clicking on iris texture, we're gonna place it, and we might need to modify it. And actually it fits kind of nicely, but I'm gonna change from realistic to add so that it's a lightning eye effect. And we notice that it's a little bit small. So in order to edit this in Photoshop, what we're gonna do is click on it in our resource panel. So in resources, just type in eye color or whatever the name is of the file that you're using. If you're using my file, we're gonna right click on it, or control click if you're on a trackpad, go to show in Finder, and then we're gonna open it up in Photoshop. Now I'm gonna make this bigger like that so that it fits full screen, and then save it and see how that changes it. And so now I just kind of adjust to how I think it looks. So it's starting to look a little bit better. And now I'm going to adjust my texture a little bit, so you don't have to do this if you're following. I'm just gonna give you a little background on how I modify. I'm gonna make the pupil really small. So now that the pupil's small and I saved it, it's looking a little bit better. And now I'm just gonna blur it. And then I'm going to erase where the pupil is a little bit. Okay. And just slightly erase the bottom. I like it having a slight erase on the bottom so that it's not such a harsh edge. And so now it looks a little bit nicer. I'm gonna tone that down a little bit. So now it's just kind of like a hazel eye. Okay, and so that's how you make eye color, and you could adjust your texture in Photoshop by going to Image at the top and Adjustments, and then going to Hue and Saturation. And then you could take this color and you could turn it green or anything else that you'd like. And then just as long as you save it, it should update the texture right inside the program. And so another thing I like to do usually is I like to turn on smoothing as a way to do retouching. And so by doing that, well, let's just go back because I went a little fast. You just click this plus button here and you're going to go to Post Effects and then go to Smoothing. Another way to access this, if that didn't work for you, is just type in Smoothing and you should see Post Effects pop up and right there. So now that I've added it, it should pop up and now you can see it's like super smooth. So in order to tone that down just a little bit, we're going to go into Material and click on the material by clicking this, right click, select, and then take this base color and bring it down. Bring it down to 0, you can see it without, and then bring it up to maybe like 50, you see it with, and maybe somewhere around 30 is usually what people seem to like, maybe 20. It's a little bit more natural. And so now let's go into the eyebrows. So if we wanted to add some eyebrows, all we'd have to do is go to add a face mesh. So you can go into Face Effects over here, and then look for Face Mesh. And if we don't see it, we could just type in up here, Face Mesh. And so now what the Face Mesh does is it maps a face mesh to our face, and it's very nicely tracked. So as you could see, your minor eye movements, nose movements, lips, all are tracked with this face mesh, and it maps to it really smoothly, which is like one of the smoothest kind of tracking I've ever seen in AR before. And so if we want to modify this texture, we can actually use this material and adjust it. You can keep this shiny, you could do whatever, you could have shiny eyebrows, or you can make it more opaque and more flat. And in order to do that, we want to just right click on this, or actually just click on it. And we're going to go to this plus sign that pops up in this little window. This is like a little library, and we're going to click Unlit. And so now with Unlit selected, we're going to click OK. And now we have this flat texture. And so what I'm going to do is put an eyebrow texture here. Okay, so now you can see this face chart is mapped very well to like where the lips, the nose, and the eyebrows are. So we're going to want to create eyebrows by using this. And so what I'm first going to do is turn the blend mode onto normal. Then I'm going to turn the depth settings off. Is we're going to look for this texture, which I named Anna. I don't know why. But we're going to take Anna and we're going to right click on it. And we're going to go to Show in Finder. Now with Anna selected, again, we're going to drag it into Photoshop. Now in Photoshop, we're going to take this texture and we're going to just scale it up a bit because I made it really small. So I'm going to go to Image, Image Size, and then we're going to take this and make it 10. Now we're going to erase everything except the eyebrows. So in order to do that, I'm just going to use the lasso tool and I'm just going to select the eyebrows. You could also use the magic wand tool. And we're going to go to Modify Smooth. And yeah, a little bit too much. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more of that end. Okay, and now I'm just gonna delete the rest. Now let's save that and see what that looks like. Okay, it's a little bit weird, but it's a start. So I'm gonna just smudge it around. And this is just to create an eyebrow base. And eyebrows can be detailed. You could have every strand of hair showing and stuff like that, but usually it's kind of blurry on the phone, so having it just be a tint usually is just enough to have a nice eyebrow. And so sometimes the less detail the better when it comes to eyebrows, unless you're trying to do a dramatic, more intense eyebrow look. And so I'm going to pin this back here so I could watch it in real time as I edit. So now that it's pinned, it'll be easy to see it change as I go. Okay, all right. And so now I'm going to make these eyebrows. Let's say we want to make them red. And so now look at that big red eyebrow. All right, let's just make that a dark brown. So it's a little bit more natural. And then we're going to duplicate this on the other side. So all I'm going to do is drag this layer by clicking on it and holding it and bringing it down to the plus sign on the bottom. And now that it's duplicated, I'm going to select all. And then I'm going to do Command T, and I'm going to flip horizontal by right clicking and flipping horizontally. And then flatten it down. And so now basically I just flip the canvas and I paste it on the other side that way. So now it's basically just on both sides evenly. And what we could do from here is you could go back into this. We could adjust the color further. You could make it dark, and you could even adjust the opacity and tone it down. And so on a lot of my effects, I'll just enhance the eyebrows just a little bit like that, just like a slight brow enhancement, or you could go all the way. So in order to erase the eyebrows, what we have to do is create a skin average and then use an opacity texture that just has the eyebrows have that skin texture and everything else is not. So in order to do that, I'm sorry I explained that a little weirdly, but you'll see once I get it started how it works. So I'm gonna actually turn off the eyebrows that we just added for now, and what we're gonna do is add a new face mesh. And so now with this new face mesh, we could just call this eyebrows. We're going to click on our material in the inspector panel, and we're going to change this material to an unlit texture. So now in our unlit texture, we're gonna go and turn off our depth settings, and then we're gonna change the blend mode to normal. And then for our texture, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into resources over here on the left, and we're gonna add the word face. Type in the word face and get face texture. And so now we're gonna go and we're gonna select this face texture. That looks funny. But what we have to do is edit this so that you don't see this and it just looks really small. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go into scale. So first click on resources, then click on face texture in your resources panel. You'll see this has to be changed to device, camera texture up here in input texture. Then we're gonna go to scale and we're gonna make this 0.01. And then we're gonna make that 0.01. And so now it's just an even skin color. And so now going back to unlit, we're gonna go and load an opacity texture. And so in order to make an opacity texture, what we're gonna do is we're gonna load that same texture that I had before. You can even do something like this. I'm gonna use a eyelid mask. So this was actually a concealer that I had. So I'm just gonna use this as an example. But see this, a concealer is like really nice, but we could actually no, I'm gonna do that, okay. And so now over here, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna load an opacity texture. So I'm gonna load that same Anna texture. And so now you'll see nothing's really happening. So what we need to do is make this black and white. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find Anna texture in resources. I'm gonna go show and finder. I'm gonna take the Anna 2 and I'm going to bring it into Photoshop. I'm gonna scale it up. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to just draw where the eyebrows are. And first we're gonna need to make a new layer. And so Command Shift new layer, turn on symmetry onto vertical, and I'm going to draw in white right here where the eyebrows are. And so now for the background, I'm going to make the background black. Okay, so now you can see the eyebrows are erased. And so they're a little bit harsh, so you could just go and blur your texture, you could alter it. Like that. Okay, and now I like to usually just erase a little bit. And so now I could just slightly enhance this just a little bit. And so now we have pretty much a nude eyebrow. And then I could bring in my other eyebrow and just move it underneath this, so the order is above it. So whatever goes below, let's call this eyebrow. So now if I move this eyebrow underneath here, it's too subtle, and if I move it above it, you could see it more. So this layering order is how everything's stacked. So you want to make sure that everything's in the order that you want it to be stacked. So that's how you create eye color and eyebrows in Lens Studio.